All right, folks, what is up? What is going on? And welcome in to another episode of America's Hometown Horror. My name is Mike. Thanks for tuning in to another episode. I am your host. And as always, I am joined by my fellow co-hosts, and it's just the Three Amigos.
Just the three of us.
We're the three best friends that anyone could have.
You're not going to finish the song? You're just going to do the one line? The one, we're the three best friends that anybody could have. We're the three best friends that anybody could have. And we'll never, ever, 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 ever leave each other.
See, why would I do it when you do it?
I forget how the rest of it goes. But yeah. A little
Good
hangover.
job.
A little reference to the Hangover for all you guys. But yeah, I'm joined by Kat and Andrew. What's up, guys? How are you?
Hello.
What's up?
Good to be here with just the three of us here tonight.
And the Otis.
And the spooky hound dog, the official hound dog of America's Hometown Horror, who is here sniffing around, eating his treats, hanging out, probably going to bark at some point during the episode. So if he does, we apologize in advance. I'm going to try something new here tonight because I don't know how many people make it actually to the end of our episodes. I'm going to give you our social media handles at the beginning of the episode. How about that?
There you go.
You can find us online if you're interested. If you tune out somewhere in the middle of the pod at ahpod.com. That's ahhpod.com. We're also on YouTube. You can find every single one of our episodes on YouTube. And we're also on Facebook. Both those channels were at America's Hometown Horror. You can also tweet at us at Hometown Horror. And you can find us on Instagram at Hometown Horror Pod. And you can also email us at hometownhorrorpodcast@gmail.com. How about that, guys?
How about that?
How about that?
Pretty good.
So what's new? I feel like it's been a little while. I know we recorded a bunch of episodes back-to-back with our buddy Matt Audette. How did we feel about the month-long drafting process? Did we have fun? Did we have a good time? I think everything turned out pretty good,
I
right?
thought that was a blast. Very fun. I can't wait for 8 years from now when we can do that again.
Right? 8 years from now, we'll all be in our 40s, and I guess we'll have to see if we're still here in 8 years.
Let's not think about the 40s.
Let's take it. Let's take it one episode in 1 week and 1 year at a time. How about that?
That sounds great.
Yeah. So what's new? Anybody watch anything good over the last couple of weeks since we haven't really done this since before we started drafting? I know I watched one pretty cool thing that I can talk about.
What did you watch, Michael?
So I watched a Shudder exclusive thing a couple of weeks ago. It was called the WNUF Halloween Special.
Wnuff?
Yeah, Wnuff. So as I mentioned, you can only find this on Shudder, and I guess it's a rare release that came out in like 2013. But it's essentially it is an late 80s, like early 90s style television special, but it's actually like a movie, and I put television special in quotations. I know you can't see that, listeners. But like if you were a fan of American Halloween-style TV in the 90s, you probably saw something like this on your local news network. But it's basically it's a news crew investigating a haunted house on Halloween for their Halloween special, and it's intertwined with like fake commercials, like Halloween commercials for like the area that they're in. It's actually really interesting, really cool, well done. A total throwback. And it just makes you feel like it's Halloween, even though it's actually, what is it, April? It's April still, right? Yeah, still April. So we're almost halfway to Halloween. But I thought that was really cool. So if you like old school Halloween stuff, definitely check out the WNUF Halloween Special on Shudder. Andrew, do you have a deep cut like horror movie pick for us, like you usually do, or what?
Lately.
No,
I gotta get back on my game.
Yeah,
I've been slacking.
Yeah,
I haven't watched shit.
Well, I know Kat and I have kind of been balls deep in Yellowstone right now, which is kind of overtaking. And it's a good time for TV right now, even if it's not necessarily horror related TV, I should say.
Some of the things on Yellowstone are horrific.
Yeah, for sure. Yellowstone's really good. I can't believe it took us this long to watch it. Barry's also coming back on HBO, which I love that show.
I haven't seen that
Bill
show.
Hader's awesome. And then also Better Call Saul is back now. I know you don't care. That show rocks. It's great. It's the final season of Better Call Saul.
Is that on Netflix solely? I think I saw new episodes on Netflix.
So all the prior seasons are on Netflix, but the new episodes are on AMC.
You know what I've been watching? I just finished Bridgerton.
Wunderbar.
The newest season of Bridgerton. It was lovely.
The level of enthusiasm that I have for Bridgerton is about the same level of enthusiasm that you have for Better Call Saul. That's what I'll say. A boot to put it that. Andrew, there is a new show. It's on Amazon Prime that I feel like we should mention, and I am going to check it out. If you were going to have your girls' night tonight after this, I was going to watch it, but you're not having that tonight.
Maybe I can watch it with you.
It's a new show called Outer Range. It's on Amazon Prime. Okay. And from what I've been told, this is a show starring Josh Brolin. Nice. Bill Pullman's son plays one of his kids, and Bill Pullman, stud, pride of UMass Amherst.
Always.
I've been told this is Yellowstone meets True Detective in the Twilight Zone.
Interesting.
Which, that could not be more of my shit if you described it in any other way. That sounds so dope. But I guess it's Josh Brolin is a rancher in the Pacific Northwest, or Wyoming, Montana, one of those areas. And he walks out into his pasture and finds a gigantic hole, a void in the ground. That's how the series starts.
The void. The void.
So it sounds awesome. I'm going to check it out. There's apparently 2 episodes out right now, and they did the first 2 episodes the first week that it was released, and a new episode every other week after that. So I'm definitely going to be checking out Outer Range on Amazon Prime
Sounds
Video.
Interesting.
Every time you keep saying check it out,
And
I keep going, check
reporting
it
back.
out in my head.
Yeah,
Check it out.
you love John Cougar Mellencamp more than anybody else. It's like you just discovered John Cougar Mellencamp.
I did not.
I thought she meant check it out with Steve Brule. Check it out.
Yeah, check it out with Steve Brule, you dingus.
I think we've said check it out about 10 times already.
I don't know. Check it out.
Okay, cool. Well, hey guys, something else very exciting that happened since the last time we recorded, and I know we all kind of were discussing this earlier, and we continue to be humbled by the support that we get for our show, because I never really expected much to come out of it, but people seem to listen to us and enjoy us, and it's great, and it's awesome, and I'm thankful for everybody that listens to us. There's a website out there called horrorfacts.com that was kind enough to give us an awesome shout out recently, and I just want to say thank you first and foremost to Justin of horrorfacts.com. He basically wrote a review of our show, went back, listened to a bunch of episodes, and put an embedded link for our show right in there. And talked about us, and there's screenshots from our website, including our headshots and our social media handles and everything.
Our headshots.
So, which probably, I'm sure that reminds you now, Andrew, that you need a new headshot for the website, like you fucking read about.
With this one.
Yeah, when was that even from?
Oh, I dug deep.
Way
for that.
deep?
Oh,
I don't
very
even know
deep.
where that.
That was at Strega with the sides.
Yeah,
the night of the
that's right.
sides.
That was the night of the infamous night of the side dishes.
Yeah,
that was
right.
the night of the side dishes.
Oh my god,
that was
was that Allison or
ago.
Seth's birthday?
That was.
That's how long ago this was.
Seth's birthday? Seth's birthday.
Maybe. Seth's,
Might have been.
Yeah.
Wow, what a deep cut. But so yeah, and I'm very thankful for this, and I feel like as a horror fan, if you're listening to the show, you've probably heard of websites like BloodyDisgusting.com or Dread Central or Fangoria.com, but HorrorFacts.com I feel like needs to be on your radar if you like horror news, horror reviews, all kinds of horror-related things. So not only do they provide the latest and greatest breaking horror news, trailers, reviews, interviews, etc., 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 there's also countless articles that focus on the history and quote-unquote facts of horror, which is awesome. It's deep cut type of stuff, which we're all about. They do have a section about podcasts, which is fantastic. Fantastic! And it's just a great resource for any horror fan. So yeah, I can't be more thankful for horrorfacts.com, and I believe Justin is the guy that I've been corresponding with. And and any type of promotion, isn't that right, Otis, that we can get, I will take, and it's just fantastic to see us out there like that. What do you guys think?
I think it's awesome. Thanks, Justin.
Yes,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you so much. I mean,
Yeah.
it's huge.
It's very nice.
Yeah.
It was a very nice
yeah.
review. I was like, oh wow, that's nice.
Doesn't it make you feel good when people say nice things about what you do?
Yeah.
I was waiting for it to be just trashing us.
And of course, in typical fashion, Otis is now ruining probably this audio because he's upstairs, but he's so loud you can probably hear him through this, but that's okay. He's part of the show from time to time at the Spooky Hound Dog on Instagram. Give him a follow. And by the way, horrorfacts.com, you can also follow on Twitter at Horror Facts. So thanks again to horrorfacts.com for the awesome shout out, and that's a website I'm going to keep checking out for horror news and
Check
notes
it out.
moving forward. So thanks again to horrorfacts.com.
That's just friends with it.
Well, anyway, So a couple of newsworthy things that have happened. I don't have a ton of news things, but a couple things that we should probably discuss since we did an episode on The Batman. As of this recording, you can now watch The Batman on HBO Max.
Ooh, I'm going to go watch it now.
That was fast.
Yes, I know. So, I mean, that's kind of one of the good things about the the streaming service age that we're in right now is that, I mean, we saw it, a month and a half ago, and now it's already on streaming, Andrew.
You got to thank the COVID for that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
One of the few good things to come out of COVID, I would say.
Can't wait.
The home release.
You used to wait like years.
Not years, months.
For DVDs to be
Okay, well, how long ago are we talking
But
about?
I'm like saying like when it would be like released on like TV.
Like, oh right, I remember this movie when I saw it 3 years ago in the theaters.
Yeah. Well, my point being, if you haven't watched The Batman yet, you need to go see it.
Do it.
And you haven't seen a cat, so
I know
we need to watch it.
That's why I just said I want to watch it.
I know we couldn't nail you down for a 3-hour movie theater appointment,
But
so
I can
now
when I'm at
we can do it at
home.
home. Absolutely. And in addition to that, in addition to The Batman, probably one of the bigger things that have come out over the last couple of weeks is the Stranger Things 4 trailer that came out. Kat, I know you saw this. Andrew, did you see this as well?
I don't. Did you show it to me? Possibly.
I might have sent it to
It
you.
might have been an older one. Like it might have been like one of the. Was it the first one to come out for this?
So there's been a few teaser trailers. This
Maybe
was like
that's
the
what I
full
saw.
in-depth
Okay,
trailer
yeah,
where you
I don't
actually
think
get
I've
like a
seen
good look at like what actually is going to be happening this season. You get a
I haven't
good
seen
look at
that.
a lot of different things. And the tone for this season seems to be much more horror focused than the prior 3. Or I guess elements of the first 3 seasons were horror focused, and I feel like this season is the most horror forward out of all of them. It seems like there's a lot of stuff going on. Seems like it's going to be a very epic, sprawling story, if you will, taking place over a lot of different locations. Looks like we're going to have some of the characters still in Hawkins, some of the characters out in California. We have some characters out in Russia.
Interesting.
Fighting Demogorgons, mainly Hopper. So cool stuff, and that's actually coming out in about a month.
Yeah.
Oh,
For the
wow.
first part of Stranger Things 4.
Oh, that's right. They're doing.
So I think Kat and I had discussed that once we finish watching Yellowstone, we are going to be diving right back into Stranger Things to watch all 3 seasons again, because I feel like
Didn't you say you don't like Stranger Things?
Yeah, no, I know.
it's wild to me. You're one of the few people that I know that don't like it. It's just wild.
me.
It's crazy.
I don't know.
Wild and Crazy Kids. Wild and Crazy
Maybe
Kids
this time
starring
around I'll
you.
like it a little better. Maybe when I binge through it instead of watching it like week by week.
You guys gonna
It's a
start? Are you
phenomenal
gonna watch
show.
from the start again?
Oh yeah, we're gonna watch it all
yeah.
over again. Because I love that show very much. I'm excited for season 4. So yeah, if you've been living under a rock for the last couple of weeks since we recorded and you have not seen the Stranger Things 4 trailer, go out and watch it right the fuck
Apparently,
now.
I've been living a rock.
Yes, you do. You live under
amazing.
rocks.
Rock living.
It's amazing.
Rock
I know
life.
everybody's busy. Everybody's busy. Sometimes things pass you by, but don't let this trailer pass you by.
I won't.
Any other items you guys want to discuss before we talk about another 2022 movie?
No.
I got nothing.
Nothing at all?
Check it out.
All right.
For a record, what is that? The new like Angela Lansbury thing?
Pretty much.
Could be.
So, for the record, tonight we are going to be discussing our second 2022 horror movie, the first of which was Scream 2022, or Scream 5. We're going to be discussing a movie called X tonight, which is an A24 release. A lot of horror fans may have heard of it. Some of you may not have heard of it. Yeah. And in Found Footage February, we did an episode on a movie called XX. We're now covering a movie called X.
Now we're at
That means that
X.
we are one Vin Diesel classic movie away from covering
I love
X,
Triple X.
X,
That's actually
and
a really good
Triple
movie.
X.
and we're just a movie named N away
Yes,
from
yes.
XX.
And
X.
we'll complete the X trilogy. So that was a bad joke, but
Oh,
that's
hey,
okay.
speaking of letters and stuff, when is that movie, Nun, coming out?
What?
Isn't it Nun? What's the Jordan
You
Peele
mean
movie?
Nope.
Nope.
The movie's
Nope.
called Nope.
Nope.
Not
Okay,
None.
speaking of letters and such, I thought you were going to say something that was just like a letter or something. You just said a word.
All right, that's
so
only like
every
4.
word is letters.
That's correct.
At first you said none, and I was like, that's a word.
It's letters. It's several letters put together to make a word.
That's correct. That's what every word is. Several letters strung together.
Wait, but for serious, when is it coming? Is that coming out soon?
July.
Okay.
July. It's
I wanna
coming
see
out
it.
in the middle of blockbuster season, which means this is probably going to be a pretty cool movie.
Oh,
Can't wait for Nope. We've discussed it multiple times in the podcast.
probably gonna
Apparently
be my
you were either snoozing through or weren't paying attention.
It's probably gonna be my favorite movie that has its name letters.
Yeah. So, favorite movie of all time is pretty much what you mean? Yeah, there you go.
Well, your other favorite movie only has 2 letters. Us.
Us.
Not my favorite movie, one of my favorite
No, one of your favorite movies.
A pick in the draft last week.
One of my
2010s
Why do
draft.
they call it a blockbuster when blockbusters have gone out of business? Like, wouldn't that be a bad thing?
The word blockbuster was a word before
My
blockbuster
God.
was in.
Blockbuster was a term for a hotly released movie.
Well, yeah,
That's why they named their store Blockbuster, because they had blockbusters in their store.
They had Blockbuster
The name Blockbuster
videos and
didn't
movies.
originate with Blockbuster.
Well,
Like,
yeah.
the store.
Right.
So
Okay.
Don't pretend like you knew what
I
you were
just
talking
feel
about.
like, no.
Oh, well, yeah,
I
well,
just-
yeah.
I feel like you wouldn't say blockbuster anymore because now there's only... Isn't there only one left? The last blockbuster?
There's one Blockbuster left. It's in Bend, Oregon. Shut up, Otis. And so, like, I'm sure you've heard that, like, Jaws was the first summer blockbuster.
that came out well before there were any blockbusters.
That's correct. It came
Did they
out
use the
in-
word blockbuster back then when they made
It was
Jaws?
called the first summer blockbuster, like I literally just said.
Is this even a real conversation?
Is this even a, like? How do we
Like,
even?
who are you?
How do we even have
Didn't
a podcast?
you go to college?
Yes.
I did.
Aren't you like smart?
Actually, I have my master's.
Yeah.
Wow.
Goes to show that you don't learn everything in college.
I majored in colors and letters.
Like you didn't know.
and
Yeah. Well, Blockbuster
Thanks.
has letters, so
It has
Well,
a lot of letters.
Anywho,
More letters than
that's like
none.
that's like an 11-letter word.
so speaking of a movie that is not a blockbuster, we're going to be talking about this movie, which is called X, which is a 2022 non-blockbuster release. And you know, if you've heard of this, I'm sure you are aware that this is one of the most hyped horror movies of the year so far, along with Scream 2022. And there's going to be a recurring theme here, as I'll get to in a little bit. But this is an A24 release, and A24 is known for their more like artsy, heady, horror releases. They've come out with a number of banging horror movies. And I am sorry to say that I was unimpressed. I guess just overall thoughts on this movie, I thought there would be more to it, given the expectations that I had going into it. And more on that in a second. And I've mentioned, this has to be one of the most hyped horror releases this year, and I feel let down. I mean, it was all right. It was okay. It was decent. There wasn't anything outstanding. But I feel like, for me, this is becoming a trend. And I don't know if this is a me problem, but, okay. New horror movie gets released. New horror movie gets lauded by critics. I see said horror movie, and I'm disappointed. So I don't know if this is more of a me problem, if this is just the generation that we live in now, where there's trailers for everything, there's advanced, reviews, so you know kind of what to expect. Maybe I need to do less of this. One of the podcasts that I listen to pretty religiously, one of the hosts said that he has one of his New Year's resolutions was to not watch any trailers for any movie that he was going to see this year and go into every single movie blind, and I almost respect it, but I don't think I have the self-discipline to be able to do that.
Say, that's almost how I used to watch movies.
Incredible.
Until Mike showed me every trailer.
Right? I mean, but
Yeah, I usually go in blind.
let me ask you guys. I mean, both of you guys, I feel like, knew next to nothing about this movie going in, right?
Correct.
I mean, were you
Yes.
disappointed?
Before we
Did you
watched
like
it,
Like,
I read some reviews, and I was so. I mean, if you take that word blockbuster and you get rid of block and and you just bust. I feel like this movie was a bust, which I'm in the minority, like Mike is. It started off with a lot of promise. I thought I liked the way it started.
I agree.
Like the first
too.
half hour, I thought there's some really cool like cinematography in it. I liked the style. It was like the old school horror movies, like the Texas Chain Saw Massacre kind of vibe to it.
100%.
But
This is
then it
a
just fell
blatant
flat.
Texas Chainsaw
Like,
ripoff.
I get that these movies, like, I like artsy-fartsy stuff in my horror movies.
Yes, you do.
This felt forced and stupid. And I know it was supposed to be like some sort of like a comedy too, like a horror comedy. I didn't find it funny in the least.
No, not at all. Nope.
Yeah, I like some of the reviews I read said that they thought this was like laugh out loud funny. I didn't laugh once. I didn't think anything was funny about it. I mean, there were a couple of giggle moments, I guess.
Yeah.
But like I didn't find it to be a comedy.
No.
I don't know. It's Kat.
If anything, it was just bad acting. Like it just, I feel like it was.
I didn't have a problem with the.
I didn't think the acting was bad. I think just the story itself was just.
The story
stupid.
was bad. Yeah, I think that like you were waiting. Like at one point, we took like a break or like to go to the bathroom or whatever, and like we were just all kind of looking at each other like. Yeah, this is pretty slow to pick up, It's kind of like a slow burn, but it like never really picked up. Even like when she started to like kill people, it was like, oh,
it was too fast. Like there was no tension built in the people getting killed.
Right.
It's just they were killed and they were dead, and then it was over, and it was very predictable. Like people getting killed.
Yeah,
and you could tell when they were about to get killed.
It was just
odd.
It was strange, but not in a good way. It was just awkward.
Yeah, so I would describe this movie, and we've seen this, and I know you're not going to remember seeing it. Okay. I would describe this movie as an A24 gorier slasher version of M. Night Shyamalan's The Visit.
Oh, I liked that movie.
Andrew, have you seen The Visit?
I actually kind of liked The Visit.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was terrible. It's not that great.
I thought I liked The Visit probably a little bit more than I liked this movie.
Oh, I did like it better than this movie. I didn't like this movie at all.
I mean, remove the foul. I mean, obviously this is a movie about a movie that's being made, or a porno movie, a porno movie,
a pornographic film. But it's gonna be good. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be more than just a porn
I mean,
film.
I don't know.
Amazing.
I feel like when you see the A24 label on a movie, you have to expect a certain element of a slow burn, which, like Andrew said, I am okay with that. I just feel like nothing happened in this movie. I don't feel like there was really anything of consequence that happened. There was like one little twist at the end, which it wasn't even really a twist. I was waiting for some other shoe to drop the entire movie, and it just didn't.
Put it this way. If you were to ask me if this was a scary movie, like if I was scared at any point in time, the answer would be no.
That says a lot.
And that says a lot.
That says a lot.
No nightmares, no jump scares, no creepy things.
Yes.
Like it was not scary.
And I understand that like your enjoyment of certain horror movies is gonna vary depending on what your taste is. Slashers have really never been my thing outside of like the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which this movie is blatantly inspired by, inspired by. There's several homages in terms of like the camera work to Texas Chainsaw. So, I mean, Texas Chainsaw and Halloween are the two best slashers. Aside from that, it's not really one of my favorite horror genres. And I just, I don't know. I was disappointed. I thought it was going to be something different, and it really wasn't. I don't feel like they really did anything different.
I thought it was going to be like...
The same criticism I have of, like, Scream from this year. I feel like it was, okay, a 2022 version of Scream, but they didn't really do much new with it. And I feel like they didn't really do much new with this.
I mean, I thought it was good.
I thought they kept showing, like, you had the girl at the convenience store gas station, she was watching the same. Older couple was watching with, it was like that sermon. So I thought this was going to be like some televangelist. I thought it was going to be some sort of weird, like, overly religious town where they like just like steal people and murder or something like that. Like that's where I felt it was going.
It never went.
And then it never really. There wasn't enough like backstory for the older couple. Like you never understand like why they are the way they are. Really, I mean, unless
they're just
like
old.
Like the guy in the basement. Like that they see. Like what's his deal?
Yeah.
Apparently, it was just another guy that had gone missing.
Yeah. Like I know they had like you did see on the back of a milk carton at one point when he was drinking it. It was like missing, and I feel like there was
that was very subtle, but like blink and you'll miss it type thing.
Yeah,
for sure.
But just no development. It just turned out that it was just two sexually depraved older people, just killing a bunch of people that they would because they couldn't have sex.
Right, but then they did have sex, and
then he
still
died.
killed
That's
people.
why he couldn't have sex, but like a heart attack.
Right.
Yeah.
It was stupid. And why couldn't they just use old people?
I don't know.
Yeah, they have to do the prosthetics.
It was weird.
That's what it was. That was definitely
strange.
prosthetics, right?
So, and
no one looks like that.
No.
I guess I lost my train of thought before, but like again, this movie is gonna like your enjoyment of this movie is gonna vary based on your tastes. And so I remember when we were recording one of our draft episodes, Audette saw this in theaters. And I had heard the hype around it, and I was like, what did you think of it? And I said, I heard it was kind of like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre light. And he said, I'd remove the word light. It's kind of a lot like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. He really liked it. I mean, maybe
it would have been different in theaters.
He and I definitely have differing tastes, and I know he loves slashers, and I know he holds Texas Chainsaw Massacre in the highest regard. probably of any horror movie of his, I would think. So I can see why his enjoyment of this might have been a little bit higher than mine, but I can't help but walk away disappointed seeing this.
Well, I love slashers, and I didn't like this very much.
Yeah, I feel like you are the resident slasher person
I'm
on
not
this
a slasher
podcast.
person either,
yeah.
so...
Yeah, I mean, I would say you're the slasher person. Andrew likes the weird shit. I like monster movies. So
Yeah, I think I was too...
to oversimplify, but
I was too annoyed at the things, like Andrew was saying, that they didn't explain a lot of things, like the couple's backstory, like... You didn't know what the hell they were talking about half the time. She's like, I never get what I want. I never get this. And it's like, what do you want? Like, what the hell, besides sex from your husband, and you're killing people because... And she likes this one girl. Is she going to have sex with this one girl? Is she not going to kill her? Is this like the plan behind it? Like, what is the ultimate goal here? Like, what are they trying to do besides just murder whoever goes near their property?
Right.
Like, no, it's never explained.
So one thing I'll say, and I was going to kind of save this for our half-assed analysis later on, but I was able to do a little bit of research after the fact because we watched this movie and we were initially going to record directly after we watched it. And I said to both you guys, I was like, I don't know that I really have a lot to say about this movie at this particular moment in time. I feel like I need to let this like kind of marinate for a few days.
Yeah.
And here we are 2 days after viewing.
Still with the same thoughts.
Like
yeah.
just like, and now at least I understand a little bit more about what the movie was coming from. And so there's one particular genre of subgenre of horror that this is kind of a throwback to. Have either of you guys heard of a subgenre of horror movies called the psycho-biddy horror genre, or it also might be known as like Hagsploitation or hag horror?
No.
Heard of that before?
No.
I don't think so.
So I hadn't either, so I can't pretend to have known about this. I pulled all of this from an article on Fangoria.com. It's called X Marks the Thought. And the thought stands for that hag over there. It's actually really well written, and it does a good job of explaining some of like what the inspiration for this movie was. So basically, psycho-biddy horror, right? That biddy term is derived from a word, biddy, which is a slang term for the name Bridget. And biddy was a slang term for an Irish maid that was popular in like early 1900s America. So like a slang term for like an Irish worker at a house.
I thought it was someone with nice biddies.
I was gonna say
No. So basically like a
I was like, yo, biddy.
a slang term for like an older woman, right? And basically, this subgenre of horror is where aging or elderly women portray grotesque, violent characters that are often the killer in these movies. And I guess apparently these films came about and started being made in the 50s and 60s with films like Sunset Boulevard and a movie, probably the most popular one from what I've read. It's called Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. And basically, these movies were made as a response to the unfair sexist treatment of aging women in the film industry. And when you contrast that with the treatment of aging men in the film industry, you can kind of see what they're talking about a little bit. And you can easily see that, especially in older cinema, there are roles for young, hot women in roles, and as they begin to age out of those roles, there was less work for them.
Yeah, there's a very simple reason, Phil. Men age like a fine wine. Women age like old hags.
Well, people might
like old biddies.
So no one wants them in a movie because they're scary.
People might, I would say that a lot of people probably wouldn't agree with you on that, and that is probably that is sexist treatment, right?
100%. But they're trying to make money and sell a product.
Right.
Well,
so that I understand.
To be fair.
My point being that these movies were starting to be made as a response to that. And they kind of gave a lot of aging female actors roles in these movies.
But they didn't give an aging female a role in this movie.
Which is, again, kind of a contradiction, right? So
I would also say that hag biddies probably don't exist anymore because
hag biddies.
Let me get them hag biddies, baby.
I don't think that they exist anymore because of plastic surgery. So, I mean,
I think that
the hag biddies be shooting their face
it's
over
easier
Botox
to age in Hollywood these days.
Yeah,
for sure. But I mean, and we're now at a point in time where the horror genre is filled with aging scream queens. Be it, Jamie Lee Curtis in the new Halloween trilogy, or Jessica Lange in American Horror Story.
She's amazing.
Or Sigourney Weaver in, Cabin in the Woods, or, pick one. There's a lot of them out there. A lot of them out there. So I feel like it's kind of been course corrected a little bit as times become a little bit more and more woke. I would say that is a good thing, but that's kind of where the inspiration for this movie sprang from, if you will. I do find it quite hilarious that as the resident female on this podcast that you immediately went to Psycho Biddies thinking it was about titties, which is just kind of funny.
Well, biddies, that's what the term means now. You know what a tiggle bitties.
Tiggle bitties. Yes, I'm aware what the term means. Yes, I'm aware of that, but I'm just saying.
And if someone's a biddy, you're like, look at that biddy.
Right.
Like it's a good
It's
changed a lot since it first became a word.
Well, anyway, that's what it was known as for quite a while. So that's what this movie is throwing back to, in addition to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I feel like there's a number of other movies that they are inspired by.
Now when I see an old hag, I'm gonna be like, "What up, Biddy?"
Yeah,
she's gonna be like, "Excuse me."
Yeah. And when I say they are inspired by, this movie is written and directed by Ty West, and this is his return to horror after a couple of movies off, and he has written a number of directed a number of indie horror films that have come out. My personal favorite is a movie called The Sacrament, which is one of the most underrated movies of the 2010s, and I can't believe that nobody mentioned it on last week during the 2010s draft.
You didn't either.
I didn't. That's what I'm saying. Nobody did, including myself. That's why I didn't say I said it.
You didn't
I said
either.
Nobody said it. The Sacrament is basically... Have you seen
that.
it?
I might have seen
You didn't see it.
think
I watched it by myself.
It's possible I saw that like a while ago.
No,
So
what I
basically,
mean.
it is a it's a thriller / psychological horror movie where it's a basic it's a dramatization of like the Jonestown Massacre.
Oh yes, I've seen that.
And the guy that plays the head of the cult is the guy that is behind the cash register in No Country for Old Men.
Yes,
with the
I
coin
have
flip.
seen that movie.
And it's fucking great.
That's a very good movie.
That's an awesome movie, and Ty West wrote and directed that.
It's almost like a documentary.
Yeah,
Like it might
he
as well
he
be.
also acted in You're Next, so he's been in a few things. He's written and directed a bunch of stuff, but this is kind of his triumphant return to horror that everyone was excited for, and I'm disappointed that
I mean, that's a great
enjoy
movie,
it
but
more.
also in the same respect, you just took something that happened. And,
Well, how many people in Hollywood have done that?
yeah, I know, but
You know?
it's like it doesn't make you like some like amazing director. Like it doesn't mean that like I would have been like, oh, this movie's going to be awesome because of that. Like, yeah, he did a good job with a story that was already. Well, I mean, they're all. You know what I mean? Like,
I know what you're saying.
Like you're just you're just taking like what happened. The
Possibly
events,
his most popular film amongst indie horror fans, I believe, it's called House of the Devil. That was a very popular one that he did that I've never seen. But yeah, anyway, you were saying something, Kat. I'm sorry.
I definitely saw The Sacrament.
Yeah.
I was looking at pictures, and I definitely.
Okay, well, it's a good movie.
Yeah.
No, it is a good movie.
No,
It was
it's a good
interesting.
I thought it was way better than this
It's a good little movie. It's a good
Oh,
little movie.
100%
Good little movie, as I say. I do say that quite a bit, isn't it? I
Quite
do
a
say
bit,
that
isn't
quite
it?
a bit, isn't it? Quite a bit, hasn't it?
Doesn't he spell his
Can't wait
name?
for Dairy
Does he
Girls
spell
to
his
come back.
name- How does he spell Ty?
T.I. West.
Ty.
Yeah. Quite a good little movie, isn't it?
Like Tiger.
Like Ty without the gur. It's like Ty without the gur.
Ty.
Okay, so let's play a little game real quick before we kind
game?
of get
We're gonna
into
play a game?
before we get into our the rest of the discussion
You never
about
play
this movie.
games. You hate games.
It's really I don't think you'll be that excited once you hear what the terms of the game are.
All right.
It's really simple, first and foremost. Okay, where does this rank for 2022 horror movies?
This
Was this
isn't a
movie better
fun
or
game.
worse than Scream? And I know my answer is that I actually liked this less than Scream.
Yeah, less than Scream for me too. I like Scream. It's corny. Scream is corny. It's meant to be
You
corny.
love
and-
Scream.
That's what I mean. I like.
Come
I
on,
like
I could
Scream
have
better.
seen that from a mile away.
I like
What
Scream
did you
better.
think?
Well, given those options, it kills me to say it, but I think I liked Screaming.
Well, you can say
Yikes.
both of them have one thing in common: that one annoying girl.
Well, you heard it here first, guys. Our official pick for the best horror movie of 2022 so far is Scream
And
5.
everyone probably disagrees with us.
Oh, yikes. And I acknowledge that, before you yell at us on social media, there's probably a lot of streaming releases that came out in 2022 that we haven't gotten to yet. I'm talking about major horror releases, so, pull your claws back in, relax. It's okay. We'll get through this together. So here's a little bit more of a fun game. And I feel like this is going to be kind of a landslide, but this is what I got. So
I think
let's just
that-
roll with it, and we'll go with it,
I'm
okay?
going to be disappointed again by your
Since
games.
this is an A24 movie, is X better or worse than this following series of movies?
Okay.
And let's go. First, we have Tusk. Is X
Worse.
better or worse than Tusk?
Worse.
I actually enjoyed Tusk better.
I
than this
actually
movie, too.
enjoy. I didn't think Tusk was that bad.
I know.
Because it was fucking.
Yep.
It was at least you different and weird, and
Yep.
it was Justin Long, but it was still like
It was weird. It was very Kevin Smith. Very
Very
strange.
weird.
Very strange. Is X better or worse than? And this is a stupid question. The Witch. Duh.
I like the winner.
Yep.
Yeah,
of
obviously.
course.
The bitch.
Is X better or worse than Green Room?
worse. Green Room's actually.
Green Room's a really good movie. And Audette picked it last week for a reason. It's a fantastic movie. Very fucked up movie, which you haven't seen.
You haven't seen that movie? It's good.
Yep.
You probably wouldn't like.
Okay.
You might like. it.
Is X better or worse than The Blackcoat's Daughter?
Ooh.
Duh.
Black Coat's Daughter.
I like
Blackcoat's
Blackcoat's
Daughter is
Daughter.
awesome. This one I'm not even going to ask. Hereditary. We know the answer here. Okay, here's the most interesting one.
Let's just skip it.
Did you find X to be better or worse than Midsummer? There is the question.
that's
Right there.
I have
one.
to. I'll take Midsommar.
I think I'm going to take Midsommar too.
I'm taking X.
Wow, really?
I'm taking X. I'm taking X until
Yeah.
I rewatch Mids, and I can feel Matt Audette yelling at me somewhere in the distance right now. Until I rewatch Midsommar and give it, or Midsummer. I keep calling it Midsummer. Midsummer.
Why
I keep
isn't
calling
it Midsommar?
I don't know. Whatever. I don't give a until I rewatch Midsommar, and give it
think
a
it's an
second
A.
viewing opinion. I think X is better. I think X is better than that movie. Okay. Well, your opinion is your opinion.
It is.
And Andrew, I already know your answer. Is X better or worse than The Lighthouse?
I mean,
Come on.
let's put
Come
it
on. Come on.
Midsummer over it, then everything.
I feel like that would contradict everything you stand for in life if that were ever the thing. So stand to reason of these. So I picked also you could pick so for A24 there were some other lesser known ones like It Comes at Night. Did you ever see that?
I did. That was kind of boring. That was a very slow burn.
Yep.
Which never really. It was like kind of never really. It never
So
burned.
I've actually
Just
never seen
slowly
It
smoked.
Comes
Suffuse.
at Night, so I can't comment on that particular one. But there are some other lesser known movies that have come out from A24. I just haven't seen that particular one. Let me just because I can trim out the silence here. Let me see if there's any other small ones that I might have missed. I mean, The Killing of a Sacred Deer, Andrew.
That's an awesome movie.
Really good. The Monster, which is actually a pretty good monster movie.
Good monster movie named The Monster?
Yes, that's
new.
correct. What else? Let's see.
It fucking better be.
These are all just kind of not horror. I mean, that's pretty much it for the big horror releases for May 20. I mean, Under the Silver Lake was just a weird movie. Did you see that with Andrew Garfield?
No.
Not necessarily horror, but horror elements. Yeah, I mean, Uncut Gems, and obviously the biggest one that's come. Oh, Saint Maud. Did you see Saint Maud?
No.
That was another big one. I haven't seen that one yet either. And then there's another one coming out later this year, which I really want to see, called Men, which is starring Rory Kinnear. Do you see the trailer for that? It's like a weird shape-shifting movie.
I don't
Like,
want
it
to see
looks-
the trailer for that, so don't. Show
Yeah.
me.
Okay. So don't watch it.
Don't show me any trailers.
Good call.
For
another
okay, so
year.
if it's like The Batman or a movie that I know that I want to see, then
I watched the Batman trailer 35,000 times.
Probably going to watch it again after this podcast.
Probably.
or just you could just watch the movie. On
I'd
HBO
rather I
Max.
just watch
Yeah.
the trailer first. But yeah, and then also the new Ari Aster movie, Disappointment Boulevard, is also coming out in this year at some point too. So yeah, I mean, safe to say that this is probably one of the worst A24 horror releases, right?
At least
this or Tusk or Midsummer.
in our,
Midsummer.
in our
Personal
opinion.
opinions.
Right,
Yes.
correct. Not according to the tomatoes.
Which I feel like we're wrong because we're missing something.
Well, also, in fairness, has there been, aside from Tusk, an A24 horror movie that Rotten Tomatoes hasn't sucked that movie's ball bag? I feel like critics and Rotten Tomatoes both love A24 stuff because it's artsy fartsy. It's
This
big.
was bad artsy though. That's what I don't understand. It wasn't even good artsy.
I don't even
Yeah,
know
I
if it
was
was
like, this-
bad artsy.
Like,
it
there
just was
scenes in
boring.
this movie.
It was boring.
There were some
It was
scenes in this
boring.
movie, like the scene where they're playing landslide and they're just singing,
Yeah.
and that's stupid. And then when the lady's dancing or they're dancing together, the old couple underneath the moon, It was stupid too.
Yeah.
It was just cheesy.
Yeah.
So I
It
feel like
wasn't artsy. It was corny as fuck.
And I'm sure there's probably people yelling at us right now, like probably with a lot of A24 stuff, like you don't understand it, which... Okay,
I don't want to understand.
I feel like this was... So, okay, I thought it was an interesting angle to add in the porn element, right?
Cool, I love
Because
boobs.
obviously when you think of like pornography as a whole,
I love biddies.
attractive people having sex on camera, and you mix people like that in the late 70s in Texas with two of the more repulsive-looking elderly characters probably in a movie in recent years. And I feel like that was on purpose. I feel like this was definitely commenting on, you know, the dichotomy of being young versus being old. And when you're old, you're longing to be young, and when you're young, you never ever think that you're going to be old eventually because it seems so far away, but it happens to everybody.
Right.
And I understand that element of the... I do. And I feel like that was kind of like the core idea and message of this movie if you really sit back and think about it, right? Yeah. The whole time, Pearl, the old wife, she wants to fuck her husband. Her husband's like, I might die and have a heart attack if I have sex with you right now. I want to have sex with you, but I can't. They do, and eventually he dies. She's trying to have sex with some of the girls. She's just being really weird and sexual the entire time. It's not a coincidence that all of that is happening while they're filming a porn movie underneath their nose in their boarding house.
I guess I don't find that like to be like a hidden message in the movie.
Or not even know if I didn't
not
even say hidden.
Not a hidden message. Hidden. I mean, it's obvious. Not even like that, like great of a concept because I'm middle-aged now almost, so I've been young and I am heading towards stuff.
Listen, okay,
so I'm very aware
we're
of
all in our mid-30s. We're not middle-aged. Mid-30s is not.
If I die when I'm 70, I'm middle-aged.
That's
I suppose, but
which odds are I'm probably going to die somewhere between 70.
You're going to live to be like 102.
Yeah,
no.
you probably are.
I will kill myself.
You're gonna live the longest out of the three of us. You'll live till 110, especially with the medical advancements. It's 2022, Andrew.
Medical advancements don't do you any good if you don't go to a doctor.
Life expectancy is up, and you are going to be a beneficiary of that. I'm calling it right the fuck now. I might not be here to tell you I told you so, but I'm telling you so right now. So when you're fucking 97 and I'm gone, I want you to listen back to this episode and say,
if I'm the last
Mike was right.
If I'm the last one alive after all you guys die, I'm going to go to your graves.
Just laugh.
Piss pee on your graves. And no one will be... People will see me just peeing on your graves and be like, that guy's like 900 years old. I don't think we can say anything. And then if they do, I'll just get my old, wretched wife and we'll just kill them because you're young. You're young, you don't understand. Oh, this is artsy.
Now, see, this is exactly the type of conversation I was envisioning when we were sitting at Red Tea Garden, or Sushi Joy, a couple of years ago when we were going to start this podcast. That exact conversation.
We were at Red Tea.
Was it Red Tea or was it Sushi Joy?
No,
it was Sushi Joy. It was Red Tea. We had Mai Tais.
I ordered our first microphone at Sushi Joy.
We sat at a table.
Yeah.
At Red Tea?
At Red Tea Garden, a high top because they didn't have any seats at the bar.
It was a high top.
Because Red Tea's always fucking busy. But yeah, it's just funny because that was good stuff. Good stuff.
It's been a while since we watched the movie and I fucking hated it.
There's one more thing about this that bothered me was the girl who's the final girl with the blue eyeshadow. She bothered me because
Misty, or it began with an M.
There was nothing.
She's Mrs. Shia LaBeouf, by the way. Married to Shia LaBeouf. Mia Goth. That's her name.
She was such a flat final girl. Like, she really doesn't evolve.
Are you talking about her breasts?
Or about her character. Like, her character doesn't evolve. She really doesn't have any personality. Besides just like blowing coke and saying I'm awesome. It's like, okay, great. Like,
it's actually a really good impression.
All you're gonna do.
She was also a bitch the whole time. Like, she was bitchy towards that other girl.
Right.
She hated this person staring at me. She was the biggest bitch.
Yes.
Actually, you're not wrong in that assessment.
No, and the only person she killed was the lady when she ran over her backwards. And after she asked nicely for the truck keys, like, I mean,
the final girl should have been the brunette.
Shout out to the best kill of the movie.
Right.
Although she was an idiot though too.
Yeah,
you could have easily gotten through those locks upstairs.
Right.
The brunette girl, like.
That was
with the axe when she's chopping on the wrong side of the door.
Infuriating.
What are you doing? Yeah, the lock's over here. You're just. I guess if you're nervous and you're scared and you're her, then that's probably
she
a
was
reaction.
just that was just infuriating. But
I do feel like a lot of the actors in this movie were, if you knew, like, obviously if you knew who they were, you knew who they were, but like they were kind of like not no name actors. I mean, so Mia Goth, she's been in a few different things. God bless you. She's married to Shia LaBeouf. Shut up. Jenna Ortega, who was the one that decided that she wanted to be in the porno while we were filming.
Who was in Scream too.
She was in Scream 5, from this year. And then Martin Henderson, who played like the producer, the executive producer.
Oh yeah, he was.
He's the guy that gets killed by the Samara coming out of the TV in the Ring.
And the blonde, who was the blonde? She looked very familiar.
Brittany Snow is her name, and she's been in a bunch of stuff. And then the actor, the main porn actor, is Kid Cudi.
Yeah.
Which
I
wild.
had no idea.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, it's Kid
Kinda
Cudi.
funny.
I'm like, oh my
Kinda
god.
funny.
Day and night. Wah, wah.
Yeah, he's got some
like,
good songs.
yeah.
Some good songs. So,
Who played the old people, like the younger actors?
Mia Goth, the same lady that she played, what was her name? Misty, like the main.
Oh, she was both.
She played Pearl, the older lady.
Oh, okay.
And then the husband, I forget the husband's name. It was a different actor, not anyone from like the main cast.
Gotcha.
That makes me even more mad. I don't know.
Well, that was essentially her.
It was her. Her making old. Whatever.
Well,
it's fine.
Well, here we are. It's
just frustrating. The
So,
whole movie's just kind of frustrating.
Yeah, I wish I liked it more. I really do, and I'm wondering if it just.
I don't wish I liked it.
Says more about my taste, or if it just wasn't good. I mean,
my wish was that it was a good movie.
Yeah. The problem is that like I agree wholeheartedly with like what Andrew said was like going into this when you first watch the first 5 minutes you're like, oh, I like the way this is shot. I think like the 70s vibe is cool. The Texas Chain Saw Massacre vibe is cool. Like I like where this is going, and then it just never goes. Like it is just very disappointing.
So this is being recorded. So time mark this, Catherine.
Yeah.
You're 100% correct.
Oh my god.
Okay. At 47 minutes and 50 seconds. You are 100% correct. The best that this movie was at was in its first 5 minutes when it shows basically the police officers rolling up on the scene, and it's just an absolute massacre, and you have no idea what the fuck happened, and you're trying to figure it out. And that gives it like the very much like the Texas Chain Saw Massacre vibe there. There's just blood everywhere,
directly
right?
The first scene where it's coming out of the barn doors and you can just
or even like so the 03 Jessica Biel Texas Chain Saw Massacre remake, where at the beginning of the movie they go down into the basement and it's found footage, and the video feed cuts out and you don't see what happens until the very end. Like it reminded me a lot of that, and I was like, okay. I am intrigued. Let's go. Let's see what's up. And then it's like, okay, let's introduce the characters. They're strippers and porn stars. We're going out to rural Texas. And I'm like, okay, some demented shit's about to happen. And then I just feel like
it was demented, but it didn't really find it demented.
Okay.
I just found it like...
Would you say like the average... Would you say the average horror movie slasher that you've watched is more fucked up than this particular movie?
Yes.
Yeah.
Would you feel like this... I agree. I don't feel like any of the kills sickened me. I don't feel like anything was particularly over-the-top gross. The last kill in the entire movie was the best one. That was really good.
I like the crocodile one, but it wasn't...
Yeah, the crocodile one was...
it was an alligator, but I always have love for gator stuff.
The guy who got stuck by the pitchfork was interesting, but then you're wondering, like...
But that wasn't even like that nasty.
It wasn't even nasty. Like his eye came out and it was like, oh, cool. But it wasn't. Nothing was like too. The only thing, the grossest parts of this movie was when the old lady was laying in bed naked with
smearing blood on her. And
those were the gross parts of the movie. The kills weren't gross, really. I didn't.
And I feel like they kind of like they were doing that almost as like an homage to like The Shining type thing. You know, like the over the top old. Elderly, decrepit.
But it was just a person in prosthetics, which kind of loses its.
So what you're saying is you would have preferred to have seen an authentically nude old lady.
Yeah. Why don't we get an old lady in there? This wants to be that subgenre, and they fail to be that subgenre, so they're failing.
So just to be clear, you're both fans of nude.
I would have been fine with it, and the old guy should have been an old guy.
And you're fans of nude, old penises as well.
His penis, I don't think you see.
You don't see his penis. No. Yeah, it shows his bare ass when they're having sex.
Why?
Having sex.
Why would I want someone that's... There's billions of old people. Right. We can't give them jobs?
Sure. Give an old person an acting job.
And I bet you the acting would have been better than the acting of that Mia person.
Yeah.
She's been in stuff, but she's a terrible actress.
I don't even know if I mean, I know she was in...
She got this job because she's married to Shia LaBeouf.
Right.
Well, she was an actress before that, so I don't know if
not a
she's
good
solely going to do this. I mean, Shia LaBeouf is a
Hey,
Shia LaDouche.
you know this
so
fairly,
Not a good one.
this mediocre actress. Instead of having her just play the one annoying part of the young porn star, let's have her play like the main role of Pearl, whose character she was. Yeah, you fail.
By the way, I guarantee you that Shia LaBeouf is going to be listening to this episode when it comes out. So Shia, if you're out there, if you want to argue with us about this, come on the show, man.
Tweet at
talk to
us
you.
at
yeah, Hometown Horror, or just call me and yell at me. That's what he usually does to people: is beat them up and yell at them. And Shia, sup, kid? All right. Yeah, all right. So where were we with this movie? Safe to say it was not scary. You said it wasn't
No,
scary,
not at
Kat,
all.
so it's very clearly not scary. Andrew, you mentioned the alligator kill. Great part of the movie. I thought that was very good. Did you guys have any other like favorite scenes or favorite parts that you thought stuck out to you that made this movie good? So yeah,
I would say not really a scene because not much happened, but there was actually tension building, and I was getting a little nervous. Was when the main character, the young girl, was floating in that disgusting murkish pond. And the
wild move by the way.
yeah.
I would have never
insane.
swam.
But see, that's what people
that
did in the
pond?
70s, which is kind of cool. So that's where that had like that feel, like that's where it started giving you like that more of that Texas Chain Saw Massacre feel, like just doing something weird, like that you're just swimming in some gross pond
And you get the
by
you
yourself
get the alligator for
with
the first
these
time. In
weird
that scene.
old people. You've been there for less than like 10 hours.
Mm-hmm.
First off, I would have left.
Yeah.
They're all walking around naked
I'm just gonna
pretty
go
much
wander
everywhere.
off with a pair of overalls and nothing else on, just my side boob hanging out.
Yep.
For every old person that like
The Peter Griffin side boob hour.
it's like you're insane. So then she's just floating in this gross, murky pond and just slowly swim towards her, and then she starts swimming away, and you think it's gonna get her.
Very Jaws-esque.
But that was a good. It helped build tension, but then it just.
I couldn't help but think of the two guys with, throwing one of the guy's wife's Sunday roast into the water, and the dock gets ripped apart, and he's trying to like climb up, but he can't, and all of a sudden he gets right up at the last second, right before you even see the shark. So, and I feel like that was the same thing with her getting out of the water. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like this movie is just
It just
a
takes
lot
pieces,
of homages
yeah.
to better movies.
Exactly. It is.
Maybe it could have been an homage to the raft, though. That would have been rad.
I mean, I love that segment of that. So yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I thought my favorite kill was Pearl getting run over by the truck at the end.
She was already dead, though.
well,
pretty
she
much.
broke her hip. And
Oh
then
yeah, but for an old person, you break your
That's the
hip,
death sentence.
Oh
yeah.
well, Misty ran her head over twice with the truck,
as she should have.
which was really good. That was a good kill. Haunted attraction, yay,
Pass.
nay. It would be another slasher with old people. I mean, I don't know.
You go into that extra
No.
guest house and there'd just be like people having
sex,
and
yeah,
then you just
yeah.
be like,
just old people
okay.
trying to have sex with you. Yeah.
Am I supposed to be scared or jerk off?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What am I doing here? So, normally at this point, before we put a bow on this, I would ask if this movie is deserving of a sequel. I feel like our thoughts here are pretty well documented already. It turns out we're getting one, and we're getting a prequel. And the reason I fast-forwarded to the end of the credits when we watched this movie at home the other day, apparently, if you saw this movie in theaters, there was a trailer for the prequel to this movie, which was shot back-to-back with this movie. And the prequel's called Pearl, and it tells the story of Pearl when she was younger, which apparently takes place either during World War I or
World War One,
II.
I think, because her husband died in World War One. I think she says in the
And
movie.
shows, how she came to have this bloodlust. But that movie is shot with Mia Goth, the same actress that played the main actress in X, playing Pearl as a younger character. So it's shot, it's in the can, it's ready to go. We're apparently getting it this year, which is a cool strategy. I
Good
applaud
strategy.
that.
Because
I think they kind of counted their chickens before they hatched a little bit.
well, they're clearly going to get there. Unless how is it done in theaters? It was only a limited release, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily know that A24 judges the success of their movies based on like theatrical box office performance, but I mean, it's usually word of mouth stuff and streaming because horror fans are nuts, and
Yeah, that's
word of
true.
mouth
Is this
Right.
UHF?
travels a long way.
No, it's
I don't know, something's on in the background.
Airheads.
But yeah, so we're going to be getting the Pearl prequel about this.
See, well, then there we go. Now we have the backstory. But why
Right.
couldn't you have given me the backstory in the regular movie? Instead of
it's
making
a
me watch
prequel.
2 movies. I don't
Yeah.
want to watch 2 movies.
Because then you have to watch the other movie to find out what we are missing about Pearl, which
Yeah,
is
but-
what the whole point is why we don't like part of it. is why we don't like it, is because we don't know about her.
Yeah.
So now it's like, well, here you can watch the whole backstory about her.
See, now I'm going to watch it because now I'm going to watch it and then be like, why did I watch this?
Right. This is still terrible.
I don't know. Well, I'm sure we'll watch the sequel.
Yeah,
I'm sure we will. I'm sure
we
will.
have to if we did this one.
I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to devote an entire episode to it. They haven't said yet, but it's coming. So, I don't know. We'll see.
Well, it's out there in the ether, so it's going to be soon.
Out there, I call out to you in the ether.
We're not going to release it in the same year.
All right, let's see. I don't have a release date. Pearl is an upcoming American slasher film directed by Ty West from a script he wrote from an original story that he co-wrote with Mia Goth. It is intended to serve as a prequel to X, with Mia Goth reprising her role as Pearl.
Oh, she co-wrote it.
Yep, here's the synopsis. Set during World War I in 1918,
we don't need the synopsis,
explores the origins of Pearl, the villainous character from X. The events take place prior to the previous film and explore how the cabin where the quote-unquote massacre of X takes place and was once used as a boarding house during the war. So I'm sure you'll probably get Pearl murdering some wounded soldiers, some weird shit, having sex with wounded soldiers. Don't know. I don't know. Weird stuff. But we're getting it.
A boarding house during
another psycho
what world?
biddy. World War I.
Well, she wouldn't be boarding wounded soldiers in America because there was no battles fought.
That's
there.
actually, I'm thinking of the Civil War.
It's probably like children.
I'm telling
like
you
a
that
boarding,
what the Wikipedia page said.
Yeah, you said boarding, like a boarding house.
Yeah, it was once used as a boarding house during the war, which it says set during World War I.
So
maybe
it's for...
It flashes back to like the Civil War, because I think they did mention the Civil War, correct?
No, but there's no way, because this movie takes place in, 1970, the first one?
I don't know.
And she said that her husband died during the first war in the movie. It's got to be World War I. So I'm wondering if the boarding house is for, like, soldiers that came back or children that have no parents. Sure. Like, it just happens during the war.
During the war.
And then it's, like, kids. Maybe it gets into, like, kids stuff.
I would say mid to late 70s, because it takes place
after.
So
there's no way
after,
she was alive
after
during
Kid
the Civil
Cudi
War.
has come back from Vietnam. He did 2 tours in Vietnam.
Because she's got to be, like, at least 70, so she was probably born in, like, 1900, so World War I.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, here we are.
Here we are, the Lord.
I don't know. Sorry to be the bearers of bad news,
I'll watch
listeners. But, we're going to watch. Guys, wow, that burp really stinks. Jesus Christ. Any further thoughts on the movie X?
No thoughts.
You smelly bastard, before we put a bow
burps.
on this. Jesus Christ almighty.
No thoughts. Movie smelled. End of story.
Smells as bad as...
Smelled like this. Smelled like this situation right now. Well, as I mentioned, you can find us on our website, which is apod.com. You can find us on YouTube and Facebook, America's Hometown Horror, on Twitter at Hometown Horror, Instagram at Hometown Horror Pod, and you can find our show wherever you listen to your podcast, but we're everywhere: Apple, Google, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Spreaker, and probably a bunch of other places. And wherever you're listening right now, you can continue to listen to us when we put out our new episodes each and every week, which next week, I don't know what we're going to do, because we're kind of flying by the seat of our pants after having a plan for pretty much the first 3 months of this year. Is that right? All 3 months we did?
I believe
Janthology, Found Footage February, and Draft Month. So now we're back to flying by our asses here.
Yeah, 3 months is a lot to ask.
I know.
Hey, next year we'll have 4 months planned out. And the following
that was a lot of preparation by us, I have to say.
We did a good job.
Yeah, good stuff. So... Anyway, my name is Mike. I am your host. I will be your host, hopefully for the foreseeable future, unless an old lady stabs me in the face with a pitchfork. I've also been joined by Andrew and Kat, and thanks for listening to another episode. Say goodbye to your listeners.
Good night.
Good evening.
Adios, muchachos.
All right, bye.
All your goddamn
Happy 420.
Gummy bears.
Bye. Hey everyone, it's Mike from America's Hometown Horror, and just wanted to say thank you again for listening to another episode of our show, because of course, we would be nothing without you listeners. If you are interested in more local Plymouth podcasts, I would highly recommend you check out some shows by our cohorts on the Inebriart Podcast Network. That's right, the Inebriart Podcast Network, folks. In addition to America's Hometown Horror, you can find the Inebriart Podcast, Bar Talk, Theme Park Legends, Retro Redoctopus, and Old Colony Cast. Head on over and give them a listen.